Hi, Annie here, and so today oh, sorry, I pulled my yarn and stuff went flying. Today I'm doing another cawm, and that's a craft along with me. You can craft or not, do whatever you like. Today I'm working more on these squares still. I've got over 200 of them, so it's going to take a while. Hopefully not too long, but it's going to take a bit to get through them, so that's what I'm working on today. So join me in crocheting if you want to, and I'm just gonna start talking really because that's what I do here. So yeah, so Valentine's Day is starting to, well, it's approaching really. It's not starting to approach. It's not like it changes its tactic for coming at us or anything, but don't know what that's about. But anyway, yeah, so Valentine's Day is coming up, and I thought I would talk about one of my favorite movie quotes of all time, and it also just happens to be about love. And I am going to say that I think that this could apply to all different types of love, from, romantic to platonic to sibling, all kinds of different stuff, but that's what I'm going to talk about. And the quote is from the movie Fool's Rush In, which is a very old, well, not very old, what am I saying? It's not very old, it's just an older movie from the 90s, and it's called, did I say it was called Fool's Rush In? It's from the 90s movie Fool's Rush In, starring Matthew Perry and Salma Hayek. It has a lot of other people in it that you'd probably recognize. Christine Baranski, Matthew Perry's father, John Bennett Perry, who, if you're a little bit older, and my age or a little bit older, you'll remember from the Old Spice ads. But yeah, I think that's the movie that this quote comes from. So I'm going to talk about that. And the quote, I don't think it's really going to be a spoiler to say. I'm not, this movie doesn't really hinge on any kind of spoiler moment anyway, so I'm not going to worry too much about what I say. But if you really have a problem with spoilers, you may not want to watch. But and I wouldn't even say they're spoilers. If you have a problem with people talking about the plot or things that happen in a movie, don't watch. But so the quote is, the line is, "You're everything I never knew I always wanted." And I love that sentiment. I love that idea of finding somebody who you didn't expect to like, let alone love, that it's not somebody you thought you were going to be unable to live without, that it's that surprise. It's not a prediction. It wasn't like, oh, I know exactly what I am or what I need and I'm going out to find that, like it's a shopping list. But it's that surprise of figuring yourself out more and learning different things that might benefit you, or you in life. So I really love that. The movie came out kind of around the same time as Jerry Maguire and the "You Complete Me" garbage, but that line in Fool's Rush In, I never felt got the attention it deserved. I remember it being in the movie theater, and when they said that, I was like, oh my god, and I started digging through my purse really annoyingly. I should say my little mini backpack, because this was, the 90s. I started digging through my little purse and looking for a pen and paper to write this amazing thing, or what I thought was amazing at the time, down on. It struck me, it stayed with me all these years, and I think it was, even in the in-between years when I didn't own the movie, it stuck with me, that idea of love. And it's fine if you, know what you want, but I felt like the "you're everything I never knew I always wanted" was that, in a way, to me, that represented that you knew how you wanted to feel. You knew that you wanted love. You knew that that was part of, the end goal, but it's come from an unsuspected place, or I don't know. And I think part of what I liked so much about that movie too was she really challenged him and he challenged her, and it wasn't a relationship that it seemed like a relationship I'd want to be in. And I think that struck that line home even more, because it seemed like it was coming from a place where they were both being able to be their best person. And I think that's a really kind of spectacular thing. Yeah, I think that's like a huge part of what appealed to me about that quote, was that it was a relationship that was deeper than some, and so it made the quote hold more weight in the context that it was said. I think that was kind of, sometimes in romantic movies it seems a bit too perfect or a bit too argumentative. And I think we've all had the thing where you kind of like disliked somebody on sight but ended up finding out they were actually an okay person and you did like them. And so they were somebody that you actually did get along with, or potentially ended up becoming best friends, or they became your boyfriend, or possibly your spouse. I don't know, but I think that has I liked seeing some of that portrayed, because I just feel like that's one thing that does get me about some old movies. Like, it's the thing where they don't seem right for each other, but yet they're so happy and blissful together. And that always, I find, a little bit disturbing. And if it's real life is clearly different, but I like seeing relationships portrayed where it seems like the people have the opportunity to be better versions of themselves. So yeah, I think that's a huge part of the appeal there for Fools Rush In for me, is that they both kind of ended up the better for that relationship. But the quote is really what I wanted to talk about and come back to, and that was this: "You're everything I never knew I always wanted," because it's I think a really great line, and it's just not one that you see ever talked about as far as like romantic lines. And I think that's a shame, because I think it is one of the most romantic things that got said in a movie, at least that I watched at that time. And even now it really strikes me. What's your favorite quote from a movie, or a romantic quote? Or do you know what I'm talking about when I say some of this is that some, romance in movies seems kind of trite or not real? Well, I mean, all movie love is, not real, but do you know what I mean when some of it seems like it wouldn't even be like I don't know, like a good life. Like, it just seems like it would be, I don't want to say boring, because I'm not like opposed to like boring, like a settled life, but it's just that sometimes it feels like in some, movie relationships, is that people have to suppress who they are. And I'm not a fan of that. Becoming a better version of you, sure, but having to like change your personality completely and be somebody completely different, I'm not on board with. And I'm really not on board with that in real life. And I've seen it happen to people, and I find it just really sad to watch. So I think that's, part of where that quote really strikes me, especially as I get older. It struck me as a teenager, but now when I hear it, I really think like that's just such a great line, because I think my idea of friendship, relationships, all that stuff now is so different than when I was a teenager. But that line still holds weight, that idea of you're I'm going to repeat it again, you're everything I never knew I always wanted, because there are, you constantly learn about people as you go along, and whether it is relationships, friendships, whatever, you start to realize what you like and what you don't like in people, and what you can tolerate or can't. But I feel like there's been a lot of people in my life that I didn't know that they were somebody that I'd end up getting along with, that you can look at on the surface and go, oh, that's not going to be somebody from you, or just somebody that's so different from anything you've ever known that you couldn't possibly have even fathomed uh, them up. Like, even if you were like conjuring up the perfect friend or the perfect boyfriend or relationship, you couldn't have fabricated them, because you didn't know that that's something that you would have been, that was on your checklist, because you just hadn't met them yet, or you hadn't met people like that yet. So anyway, I'm really losing light. The sun is behind the housetops now, out the windows. So I better wrap this up, because I probably only have about not even 5 minutes where it's before it really all of a sudden gets like pitch black. So I better get going, but I hope you are having a good week. Please subscribe if you want to subscribe and see more. I'd love to see you around. Leave a comment with your favorite quote, or if you like that quote, or if you've seen the movie, or what you think in general. Just leave a comment. I'd love to talk to you about stuff. And I put out a new video every Wednesday, usually about TV or movie related stuff. I do a little bit of crafting and a little bit of other life stuff. I also sometimes post a sneaky video on the weekend, so keep an eye out for that. And I'll see you next week. Bye.